And we should now be live. Good evening, everybody. Sorry for a briefly delayed start. I was just grabbing a cup of tea. How are we all doing? Just going to check everything's working fine here. It is. Although I do know I need to remove a couple of names from here. Let's have a look. So we've already got compsognathus, don't we? So that can go away. And we are going to have Metri in a minute too. Excellent. Hello Spark and Gajira, welcome to the stream. Oh, right. So things have changed a little bit, as you can see by the what's on the screen. I off-screen did a bunch of work just to get the park to a bit more of a set state. So we now have everything linked up down here, the compy enclosure, which I've done a few things on, I'll show you in a sec. We now have a dedicated amenities zone here for people. I've decided to go with this nice sort of mint green orange color scheme for this particular park. I think it looks quite nice. And in the dark, all of the lights are this sort of violet purple as well. So I think it works quite nicely. Over this direction, we have planned. So there's going to be another dinosaur exhibit here. And a big dinosaur exhibit down here. We're going to have another plaza here with the Metriacanthosaurus enclosure, and that will be the first dinosaurs we decide skins for. Down here, I was thinking maybe lagoon with access to a sort of campground, but I haven't decided on that yet. And then over this side, we're obviously going to have another dinosaur enclosure. We've got our walkthrough enclosure to build. I was thinking a staff zone down here. Some sort of castle or something. I want some sort of landmark here. So I was thinking a castle. And then this area at the back, I haven't decided what to do yet. So we'll figure that out later on. So yeah, it's all going a bit more expanded and a bit more laid out. The compies, I've just added a couple of things to their enclosure. Spinosaurus skeleton, because it felt a bit empty here, so buried one of those in the ground. And a couple of security cameras with mock monitor screens for people to watch the compies at close distance through the security cameras, because the compies are very small. So I am Dinos and Trains. It was my favorite show as a kid, so I thought I would call it that. In fact, if I switch to capture mode and zoom out a bit, I have tried kind of slightly to get the island of SODOR shape. It's not perfect, obviously, but it's more or less a sort of similar shape. So that was the inspiration for this island. So first thing we need to do is we need to pick some skins for our Metriacanthosaurus habitat. And then I was thinking we need to work on the areas down here. So this dinosaur enclosure and this bit of landscaping, because I'm not sure what to do in this empty triangle here. And I was thinking also this dinosaur habitat here. So we've got sort of three blocks to work on today. You approve as a Thomas nerd, excellent. But first thing to do, let's save, and we'll decide on some Metriacanthosaurus skins. So I'm just going to get the species viewer up. Hello, Turbo Soul. Right. So, Metriacanthosaurus. There we are. By the way, I'm sorry if I sound a bit bunged up. I've got the beginnings of a cold coming on, so I'm a bit blah at the moment. So,
you're not allowed to make me sick.
Metric. That's ironic, considering the last time he was ill, he brought it to all of us in the house.
And it was COVID.
Yes, it was COVID, and you got all of us ill.
You're welcome. It's called vaccination.
Anyway, so Metriacanthosaurus is one of the few dinosaurs in the game that I think every single skin and every single pattern works well together. It's just perfectly fine as is. So I need some ideas for skins for our swamp enclosure Metriacanthosaurus. Gajira says a purple skin and blue pattern. So what's purple on the body? We don't really have purple on the body. Metriacanthosaurus is one of those where the colour indicated by the square, for example this lovely purple, is not actually the colour on the dinosaur. So we can give it a blue pattern, but it's figuring out which skin colour. Green. Go for a mangrove forest and papyrana. So mangrove forest and papyrana. So we'll have two of that pattern, and I think we'll do. I quite like some of the traditional lime green and orange stripe. So let's go with. Let's go with the Yukon River and Rana pattern. We'll have four Metriacanthosaurs with those two particular patterns. How has everyone's November the 5th been? I know for a lot of British folks, today is Gunpowder Night, so most people are probably either out watching fireworks displays or out at the pub having fireworks celebrations. I know the rest of the world doesn't celebrate fireworks night. It's a distinctly British festival. Right, let's go and get those Metriacanthosaurs made. There we are. Hello, Barger. Remember the 5th of November. Exactly, Gajira. What is my favorite dinosaur? In the game or in real life? Because they're two very different answers. Real life. In real life, it's probably baryonyx, I would say. I've always had a fascination with baryonyx since when I was a kid, because it's one of those dinosaurs that I always thought had a really cool sounding name, and it was quite unique at the time, being sort of the most well-known Spinosaurid and the fishing thing, and also being a British dinosaur. So Baryonyx has always been my favorite species. But there are a lot of other dinosaur species that come very close to it. Amargasaurus, for example. But in game, I definitely think my favorite is the Amargasaurus. In fact, I would go as far as to say the Amargasaurus is one of the few dinosaurs they added to Jurassic World Evolution 2 where it actually felt like they took their time to make sure it looked good and that it was a worthwhile inclusion. Evolution's second anniversary is almost here. What do you think they'll surprise us with? I'm going to be the voice of pessimism and say they're going to surprise us with nothing.
As always.
I don't think there's enough evidence to suggest they're going to do something. Especially considering that, our last DLC that was only a short time ago, I don't think there's really been enough time for them to do anything. I think if we do get something, I don't think it will be anything overwhelmingly amazing. I think it will be something very small and very limited, shall we say. Which is not the way that I would run the game. I would certainly be taking more advantage of stuff like this than Frontier do, but I think it's important to be the voice of reason in the community. I do know that when it comes to other dinosaur YouTubers, I am very much more of the pessimistic variety, but I think it's required. During the run-up to Jurassic World Evolution 2, there was a lot of excessive hype from members of the community, which sort of drowned out people like me that were pointing out, well, these are copy and paste animations, and it doesn't feel like there's actually that much new stuff coming. And when the game released as well, I kind of felt like if you were critical of the game at all, you did get quite a lot of hate from the community. But I don't care. I think it's necessary for you to have not necessarily a dissenting opinion, but I think it's needed that there's someone that perhaps is not excessively hyping all of the time. I think it's important to have someone who's a little bit more realistic. Right, there's our Metriacanthosaurus. Beautiful. And more cautious outlook. Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Gajira. And if we have a look through the... Oh, that's the wrong side. There we go. There we go. Lovely. Look how terrible the texture is on the inside of the log. Yeah, that looks really good. Good view, I think. Right. So, with the Metriacanthosaurs in, let's look at dealing with this area first. These two blocks. Now, Spark is saying put a garden. We could do something like a garden in here. Metri is one of those few dinosaurs, both in the first game and the second game, that were just brilliant regardless. There were very few species in the first game that I think were absolutely perfect, but Metri was one of them, as was Huangosaurus. Fletcher, if you could make a species pack and update that added what do you think the game and update is, what would you add? Okay, species pack is probably the easiest idea to do. We need a pre-Triassic era species pack. Or potentially a pre-Jurassic pack. If it was pre-Jurassic, that gives us a bit more option. And in that pack, I think there's 4 very important animals that I think we could have. I think primarily we would need Plateosaurus as a Triassic era herbivore, because we don't have a Triassic era herbivore. I would put in... Sorry, I'm just trying to think about what I want in this garden area. 2 seconds. I would put in a Gorgonopsid species, probably in Ostracevia, since it is the biggest Gorgonopsid species. Because everyone would love a Gorgonopsid. And it would also provide, just speaking from a selfish perspective, like the actual sort of Gorgonopsid body plan and locomotion would provide quite a lot of opportunities for modders to do some cool stuff with. So yeah, so I would have Plateosaurus in Ostracevia. I would probably then have a aquatic of some sort. Would I? No. I would then do I would have Edaphosaurus being, you know, a sailback herbivore to go with Dimetrodon. And then I would probably try to add something quite small, maybe Pitinosaurus or Euparkeria, something that's small, kind of family friendly. Either that or have Symbospondylus. But I honestly don't think the game needs any more species of aquatics. I mean, I'm not really sure the game needs any more species of pterosaur either, but you know, we had aquatics, so maybe it would be nice to. Okay, this is going to be our garden. Hello, Nerd Guy. Nerd Guy is not having a particularly great day at work, everyone. Ah, you just watched the FNAF movie, Jacob. What did you think of it? Eoraptor. Eoraptor could be interesting, but again, I think we have too many dinosaurs. I think it would be nice for us to have more non-dinosaur species. Like, you know, Edaphosaurus, Gorgonopsids. And other similar animals. I'm doing okay, Spock. Tarek had a huge Jurassic World Evolution 2 hiatus, got bored of it, now I'm back. I mean, I don't think that's uncommon in the community. Certainly not uncommon for me. I don't know what the critics are talking about. I can see why the critics don't like it. The critics don't like it because it's very much a game aimed at the fans. It's also quite a budget movie. It's not, you know, then it's clearly not been the sort of thing that hundreds of millions of pounds has been spent on. So I can see why they aren't enjoying it. It's just not the sort of critic film, really. I mean, it was interesting to me that
Yes.
when we went to watch it, there were more people to watch FNAF than there were to watch Jurassic World Dominion. So, at my cinema, anyway. I watched the FNAF movie and thought it was the second worst movie I've seen behind Dominion, and I watched 65 this year. Wow, strong words. I mean, I think I probably would put many other films above. Thor: Love and Thunder was god awful. Ugh, that movie was bad. I mean, I'm not a massive fan of Marvel Marvel stuff, but even Nerd Guy, who is the one who is the Marvel fan among me and him, even he was like not particularly fond of it. So I wouldn't agree with you there, Barger. I think lately, definitely, the Marvel films seem to be getting worse. I think they were good. Same with Star Wars, for sure. Right. So we have our garden laid out. We're going to have a water feature. So, Garden Rules 101, you must have a water feature in your garden. Nice. I'm just going to use the brown as the underlayer for all of our plants and decorations we put in here. The center bit of this circle I'm going to have as a seating area. And the surrounding will be the garden. What color for the seating area? Grey? I want something that's very distinctly a different color from the brown. We'll go with grey. There we go. Ooh, those are a bit big. Those are larger than I thought. Maybe we we can just use some palms. We really do need a curved thing. Actually, that reminds me of the video I'm going to do this coming week, actually, as a video. I'm going to be looking at some of the existing buildings and decorations and things we have in the game already, and what elements from them that we should have as additional items. For example, this fountain, I would like to have the DNA statue as a separate decoration that's not part of the fountain. I just want the center bit as a placeable object. It would be very easy for Frontier to make something like that. Okay, let's put in some seating. That will do. Not too many. Right, now we have the huge rest of this garden to establish. So we're going to start with our hard core. That's acceptable. Let's have big laying down one and a couple of small ones. Okay, that's our hardcore. God, these... Seriously, come on. JWE, really. I do hope if they are going to do an update that we get a bit of some optimization, that's for sure. It's annoying how amenities don't have bathrooms for the guests. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand that. Having separate bathrooms is one thing, but the fact that like hotels and that don't provide any sort of service either, it just doesn't make sense to me. Okay, let's go with planting trees first. So let's start with some pines. Not pines. Palms. That's the word I was looking for. Okie dokie, and I want some smaller bushy trees as well. Okay. What happened to you using mods? I am using mods, Tarek. I do have mods. Trust me, I don't play this game without mods. I probably never will play this game without mods, if I'm honest. I do try to avoid using excessive amounts of mods, though. Simply because I don't want the parks to become A, excessive, but also B, the more mods you use, the more unstable the game gets, so... Okay, I think that's enough trees. So let's plant in some bushes. Okay, nice. I'm in disbelief that so many creatures that are the size of medium creatures are there. It does seem like the game needs a greater spread of size. I certainly agree with you there. Okay, these are not going to be trees, by the way. These are going to be sunken ferns. I'm just going to kind of place all the ones I want to have now, and then we'll sink them all down. Okay. Yes, I have like every mod out there is, but I see you not including all those new species that could be small, like Microceratus or Caius fences. Caius fences mod is not completely working correctly. That's why I don't use it yet. The mod has not been updated for the new Jurassic Park paths, so if you use the mod, you lose some of the Jurassic Park paving, which I don't like. I would rather have the paths. That's why I don't use it yet. As for the Microceratus mod, I'm not particularly impressed by it. That's why I don't use it. I also did kind of want to stick to the in-game species of small animal that we have, because the whole point of this park is to kind of focus on those small animals that I don't use enough. So I did kind of want to prefer to stick to the small species that we have in-game. Just to show people that you can make good parks with tiny dinosaurs. Let's have a look. Let's put you... Yeah, I'm happy with you there. Let's put you over here. Let's have you sunk down into the ground and have you there. Hello, Rob. How are you doing today? I have such a soft spot for mods that remodel the Jurassic World Evolution dinosaurs and make them accurate. To be fair, I haven't found any more... I haven't found many of the sort of paleo-accurate mods that good. I think my problem with paleo-accurate mods is they always ruin the dinosaur skins. Because I think paleo-accurate means every dinosaur must be brown and look like a lizard. And I'm like, meh. I prefer my vivid skins, personally. Right, and now we are just down to adding a few here and there small flowery bushy things to really finish off this garden. I say finish off this garden. We'll also go over it with some terrain brushes, just to give us those flowers and such. Okie dokie, and we'll stick in a few of these flowers. There, and then we just need to go over with the terrain brushes. If they added animations for the animals interacting with the rocks and individual plants and terrain types, that would really help make them more alive. Yeah. I do certainly think that when it comes to animation, this game has failed in almost every regard. And it's actually interesting. So on the Triclaw Discord, the other day, one of our members, Lima, was playing Jurassic Park Operation Genesis, and it's interesting to see just what a difference the animation style is, and sort of, you know, there were elements of that game which still are so much better than Jurassic World Evolution 2 or even 1. And it's just, it's kind of disappointing, really. Because games like this do live and die off the animations that the animals in them can provide. And this game, they're just very lacking. I want to get rid of that big tree there. There we go, we've planted in some more of the generic foliage just to provide some ground cover. But there's our garden. I think that looks very nice. There. Right. Let's move over here for this enclosure here, because this enclosure is going to hold one of my favorite dinosaurs in the game. For this is going to hold the Huangosaurus. Now obviously the electric fence is here because Huangosaurus is covered in spikes. It does have some danger to it. But then this area where obviously the Huangosaurus are not going to be able to go, that's fine for using those sorts of things. But what I am going to do is just put a line of invisible fence up just to make sure that the Huangos definitely do not escape from this enclosure. For the Huangosaurus, I'm thinking I'm going to go with a sort of a grassland, basically. I want kind of like a flowery sort of meadow sort of affair. Not too many rocks or anything. Just sort of a grassland enclosure. We'll go with... what colour of rock? We'll go with these rocks still again. We'll have a couple around the waterfall. A couple around the water. And we'll have like a couple of big ones up near the back. Yeah, and I'm going to actually change. Let's replace that and that with concrete. So there's sort of an area away from the guests towards the back of the enclosure. I want to give them the opportunity to have somewhere to go so that they can be away from people. Like that. Okay, let's plant in our plants. I might go with slightly different type of vegetation for this particular enclosure. A Pumbaa feeder. Oh, blimey, chat is quite busy. I'm missing things. I will have tiger huangos, don't worry. We need a cow and a pig feeder. Yes, we do. Honestly, I always felt that was one of the biggest failures of the Claire's Sanctuary DLC for the first game, was that they focused so heavily on the herbivores and gave the carnivores absolutely nothing, and I always thought that was a massive loss. I always felt that the carnivores got the short end of the stick. Honestly, I would be all for them. And I think I have said this in one of my thoughts videos. I would be all for them remaking the Claire's Sanctuary DLC for this game. Give us back our our herbivore feeders. Give us some carnivore feeders with different diets, and expand the number of dinosaurs that are omnivorous or can eat from the insect feeder, and I would kind of be happy with that. I know I said I didn't want too many trees in this enclosure, but I do want there to be some. I think that's probably as many trees as I want to put in here.
I feel like that's a lost in translation thing.
I feel like if we put too many in, we'll lose track of the Hwango. So I think that's enough on the trees. I do want to just add a little bit of different texture to some of this. I want to sort of make it look like there's a path from the Hwangos down to the river. And we're going to stick in some flowers. Stick in some flowers down here. Stick in a few around there. We're going to switch to something slightly different up here and there. And I think we just need something in that water source, so I'm thinking a good old log. Stick a log in there. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's come out quite nicely. I love the idea of the ISLA Jurassic World restart in your CEO video. Couldn't help but build a Jurassic World sauna park myself. Yeah, I think there were quite a few ideas in that CEO video of mine that I think would make for really good DLC ideas. Again, it was important when I made that video not to suggest anything that I think is completely over the top. I think everything I suggested in my CEO video is relatively easily done. Also, how do you manage just placing the foliage in your tropical maps? I always feel so weird placing those taiga trees, but you make it look good. I think it's probably because I come from Britain, and we do tend to have a lot of these taiga style trees, fir trees and big pines and stuff as part of our natural woodland. The area where I live, just down the road near my mum, there is a national park. And we do have a lot of what you might call traditional European forest, with oak trees and birch and that sort of thing. But we do also have a lot of these fir trees and pine trees. I think the key to getting vegetation to look good is to always have different heights of vegetation and different types of vegetation. Unless you want to do a hedgerow like this, always try and have different heights of vegetation. So for our garden over here, you can see we've got the tall stuff like the palm trees and the oaks, but then we have plenty of the low bushes, low ferns, and then the aloe vera and flowers as well. Making sure you have lots of different layers of vegetation really helps you when it comes to making trees and such look better. And don't overdo it either. I think that's another problem people do when they do their enclosures. They put so many trees in. Sometimes less can be more. Especially for an enclosure like this, when the dinosaur we're going to have is relatively small. Talking of, let's save the game, and then let's go and grab some Hwangosaurus skins. That did save, right? 2152. Yeah, it did save. But if you want help when it comes to planting your trees, Tarek, I suggest you watch my second Jurassic Architect video on making good-looking gardens. That will really be helpful.
That fucking moment where you realize
Man, Fletcher has done more in like 5 minutes than I have in 3 hours. Well, this is why... So, I used to never touch my parks when I was off stream. And I very quickly realized the problem is a lot of park building is quite annoying, boring stuff, like trying to get the paths to work right and laying out amenities and deciding what sort of amenity colors and stuff you want and messing around with path art and things like that. And while some YouTubers are quite happy to fill a stream with that, I would rather focus on, you know, let's do the animal enclosures, let's do park layouts, let's do skin stuff. I wish we had mangrove trees, Dog Monkey. I do absolutely agree with you there. I hate the fact that we don't. I would also really like to have some more sort of bushy, flowery sort of plants. It feels like everything is quite green.
Yeah.
I would love some other colors of vegetation, like cherry blossom trees, fruit trees, you know, lavenders, stuff that's not green. Like, it would just be so nice to have something that isn't green. Right, Hoangosaurus. I think the enclosure is big enough easily for 6. So we're going to go with 3 different patterns. Now, someone already requested the tiger skin, which I believe is this one, Gambia. Gambia River Basin with Rana. This is your classic tiger skin. Basically, it is the pattern that is from the first game. So that's Hoangosaurus from the first game. Gambia River Basin and Rana. I'm also going to have the tricolor colors, which is this one. And I think instead of Rana, shall we go with the Pulcrana patterned one? Yes, so we're going to go with Amazon Rainforest. Rainforest and Pulcrana. And you guys can decide on the next. You guys in chat can decide on what other color. So we've already got one that's orange, orange coloration. We've got one that's a green coloration. So we've got sort of yellows, browns, greys, blacks, that sort of coloration free. So what do people think? I'll let you guys come up with some ideas for me. I'm going to have a slurp of orange juice. The blue skin. Is there a blue one? Ah, yeah, Killian Mountains. That one, you mean, Gajira? Show Limpopo. So Limpopo is basically a kind of chocolate brown, and Killian is the blue. I do like the blue. I did watch the Jurassic Architect vid, but just couldn't get the hang of it, but still thank you. Well, in a minute, Tarek, when we get back to the park, I'll do like a... We'll pick an area and I'll show you how to do some vegetation. Killian and a good contrast. I do love the... I call this the snowback because you get this yellow highlight, the white highlighting around areas, which does remind me of how snow falls on stuff. But I would like something that's a very different color. But that one is so good. Okay. Killian Mountains. and Pulcrana it is. Shall we have one more? Let's do mutation. Shall we have a albino as well? Let's. Yeah, let's just have a pure white one. We'll just have like a random albino in the pack. I like doing this occasionally. If you're gonna have a lot of dinosaurs in an enclosure, just do one that's very different to all of the others. Just for that randomization.
No wait, this is Fletcher Friday. You get.
And I agree with you, Gajira, that Hwango is one of those with near perfect patterns and colors. Be interesting to see some of those Hwango pattern colors on other dinosaurs, Gajira. Which reminds me, actually, next week I also need to install your Dippy Packy Rhino and... It was Dippy, Packy Rhino, and... What was the other dinosaur in your newest mod pack, Gajira? Gambia River Basin and Rana. And we got Amazon Rainforest and Pulcrana. And we've got Killian Mountains and Pulcrana. And then we need a Yukon River. And we're having two of these, two of those, two of those, and one of you. Of course I know shepherd's pie. I love shepherd's pie. My mum makes an amazing shepherd's pie. Right, let's get these Hwango in here. Hello, Dreadwolf. I'm doing okay. How are you today? I swear these helicopters take longer than they ever did in the first game. Right, there's our Hwango put in. So, actually there we've got an area here which is perfect for some vegetation.
I'm sorry.
So, Tarek found it quite difficult to do vegetation, so we're gonna do this area. Down here, because there'll be a dinosaur exhibit here. I'm gonna line the back of this area just first with some rocks. Because that's gonna block off the dinosaur section from this section. Perfect. I'm doing great, thank you. That's a very nice looking park, I have to say. Thank you. And you're working on some mods. Ooh. Well, I am doing a mod spotlight video next week, so if they're out quite quickly, I shall try and include them. So, the first thing when doing any vegetated planting area, always change the color underneath. Don't leave the color the same. You can see I've changed the color to brown here. We've also got sandy colors. Always try and change the color of the ground layer underneath if you're going to do any planting. Next, start with your what's called hardscape. So hardscape is anything that's basically not a plant. So rocks, decorations like statues, logs, that sort of thing. For me, for hardscape in this area, I think I want to place down I don't know, another statue? Have another dinosaur on this side? Yeah, maybe have another statue on this side. I'm just going to sink it down a little bit. Yeah, that's okay. And I'm going to place down a couple of rocks as well. I'm going to go with the black rocks because they're a very different color, and we've already used black rocks down here, so it works. It's just a general tip I would suggest people do try and use some different color of rock. It doesn't always have to be the same colors. Rock formations come in many different colors, so... Okay. Lovely. Right. Once you've done the hardscape, start with the biggest, tallest trees first that you're going to put in. So for these areas, I've kind of gone with a mix of different types of foliage, but you can see I've used quite a lot of those furs, so I'm going to stick to using them here as well. We're going to make sure we're using the ones from the taiga. And we're going to place the biggest ones that we're going to use down first. Trying to make sure we keep plenty of space between them. We don't want too many trees too close together. I'm going to have a couple of smaller ones around here. There we go. Once you've done the biggest trees, go then to your next biggest and descend in terms of size. For this particular area, we're not going to have too many trees. So from here, we're going to go with bushes next, our big sort of coverage plants. These I'm going to be quite liberal with because I want to use them to sort of cover up areas of the stonework. A bit like that. No, this one is too far forward. Yep, that's good. Don't want to have the plants going right up to this because this is a fire hazard. So you want to make sure there is a bit of gap between the flames and the plants. I would almost say that this one is a bit close, but it's workable. Rob, as I already mentioned at the beginning of the stream, because I think Gajira asked, I don't think we're going to get anything. I'm veering on the side of cautiousness because I think if we do get something, it's not going to be that excessive. So I actually think we have too many of these bushes, so I'm going to remove that one, and I'm going to remove that one and that one. Less is definitely more, Tarek. And if you're using mods, don't forget that you got always sink down some varieties of tree to make bushes. So, for example, these Mediterranean palms, I adore just grabbing them, sinking them down, and then you've got a ready-made palm bush. Works perfectly fine. I'm going to do the same here with these tropical ferns. Going to place down a couple, and then we're going to grab them, and we're going to sink them. And we've got ready-made bushes. Perfect. And then from here, we're going to go to our smallest types of vegetations, you know, cacti, that sort of thing. I do like putting a couple of cacti down here and there, especially on if you're using sand, because it just, you know, does go with the spirit. And these aloe vera, I do believe that aloe veras, my mum had an aloe vera and it looked identical to this, so we're going to place a few aloe vera down. And the final thing is these tall flowers. I think they're a species of lily, if I'm honest. Or perhaps a species of orchid. We're just going to put those down, and these just for some colour. Amongst the greenery. And there you go. Simple, it's done and dusted. We filled up that gap. It matches sort of the same sort of thing we have over here. Obviously, it might expand the Yeholopterus' territory a bit, but hopefully they'll stick around. If anything, they should add lethal rounds for helicopters and herbivore feeders back in. Well, yeah, that was something I suggested in my CEO video, that we need an update that kind of thinks about security. Yeah, this is looking good. But yeah, there are so many like little things. I think this particular fern here in the middle, and these trees and these logs, and you know, these very distinct red flowering bushes, and these very distinct patches of like spiky plants that are here, they would be really nice to have as placeable vegetation. Yeah, I definitely think 7 Hwangos. This doesn't feel overly full. And I feel like all the colours really come through quite nicely. And I hope they have plenty to eat. What do they actually eat? Ground leaf. They only eat ground leaf. Okay, well I think they should have plenty. But yeah, I think this works well as a little Hwango exhibit. Perfect. Like, the thing is, most zoos have their zookeepers trained with firearms for a worst case scenario. Exactly. I honestly... So Jurassic Park Operation Genesis did this really well, I think. We had, you know, security cameras and turrets and the avoidance beacons and the scent lures and the lethal genes and then the lethal rifle rounds as well. Like, again, it just seemed like security was actually something that the game considered, as opposed to this game where security is not considered. Can we do Ichthyo next? Well, the thing about Ichthyo is I don't really know where to put it. I was thinking about doing it here, but then I was also thinking, can we sort of sink a lagoon into here? Because this seems like the perfect sort of area to have the lagoon. Or maybe we want it at the back. I don't know precisely where I want the lagoon to be yet. Let's actually see what happens if we let's just put one down and then let's grab it and see. Because we could have it in here, but it wouldn't. It's giving me terrain.
That's why it is very slurred.
I don't know. I kind of want to keep the line of the island as it is. I don't want to massively change the line of the island. Because then it's not the, you know, it's not the island of SODOR. So I think if we are going to have the lagoon somewhere, it needs to be on land. And I mean, here seems like a good place. Because I was thinking also having like a zip line just here. Just as like a... Because I wanted to build a mock campground at the back here. So I think a zip line sort of suits. Or a couple of zip lines. So maybe having the lagoon here would work. I'm not sure yet. I think I'll leave the lagoon until next time. Oh, I did build the bridge though. What do people think of my bridge? It needs a bit of vegetation in actually. But that is my bridge. Something I do tend to do with any bridge I make is I do use the fountains because I like there to be the feel of sort of water continuity between both sides. And I feel like having fountains kind of helps that. Bye-bye, Spark. See you next time. Ah, Barger has noticed the second sandy exhibit here. Yes, so this is going to be, I was thinking, the Oviraptor exhibit. Or at least one of the Oviraptor exhibits. Because we do have quite a few other species to put in. But I was thinking using this for Oviraptors. And I wanted to go quite deserty with this particular enclosure, so we're not going to have that many tall trees around. Apart from a few towards the back, just to cover up the edges of the enclosure. Gonna sink these down a bit so they're more like bushes.
Yes. I mean, I would. Did I say something weird?
Yeah, that's... I'm happy with that. And then let's put in some... let's go with just a few bushy trees. Again, not too many. primarily I just want to cover up the edges of the enclosure.
I would say yes. Potentially.
I'm going to sink this one down, actually. Okay, good. Why don't you make the Oviraptor exhibit a desert? Yeah, so what I want to do is basically have the surrounding trees, but then the rest of this is pretty much going to be just desert. So I just want to kind of disguise the background of the exhibit a bit. Right. What I'm going to want to do is sink, just create a sort of slight depression in the middle. That might be a bit much. That's acceptable. We're going to put vegetation in that depression for the Oviraptor. There's just like a patch of low ground. I don't like that. Let's get rid of that. I don't want that either. Thank you. Okay, lovely. Gonna grab some black rocks. Maybe make a little mock nest with the Mediterranean rocks as fake eggs, you know, because Oviraptor means egg thief. So, I don't know if you already knew this, but that is disproven paleontologically now, unfortunately. Barger, it was discovered couple of years ago now that the actual you know, the most famous Oviraptor fossil, the one of it dead on top of the what was thought to be a Protoceratops nest, they're not Protoceratops eggs, they're Oviraptor eggs. So the Oviraptor has been killed on top of its own nest. So while it is likely that Oviraptor probably did eat eggs, the most famous fossil of it and the one that was used as sort of smoking gun evidence of it isn't actually smoking gun evidence of it anymore.
Let's call that.
So technically at the moment we have no proof that Oviraptor ate eggs. Although I think it's highly likely, judging on the those weird teeth that it has. Maybe something here as well. I think that looks quite nice. I'd like to continue the castle theme across, so I'm going to stick a couple of towers in here, or maybe just a tower and something else. Maybe have something at the back, maybe at the front. Oh my. It's absolutely throwing it down. very few carnivores, omnivores would turn their snouts up at an egg. Exactly. So like I said, I think it's likely that Oviraptor probably did eat eggs. But, the fossil that proves that it does is not the fossil that proves that it does. Is the important point that I was getting at. In fact, talking of dinosaur fossil discoveries, there has been a new mosasaur discovered, which has been named after Jormungandr. It's looks like it might be the biggest mosasaur species yet discovered. Yep. I was reading an article about it on my phone today. Yeah, move over Mosasaur Maximus, definitely. Gotta love mythology references. Agreed. I do like a good mythology reference. There we go, all ready for our Oviraptors, I think. No, so now the Jurassic World Mosasaurus isn't oversized anymore. Oh, I hate the Jurassic World Mosasaurus, I really do. It's just such a... It's so oversized, it's ugly, it has terrible skins. Right, let's go and find some skins for our Oviraptors. Bye-bye, Jacob. Have fun researching. Right, species viewer for Oviraptors.
I better go get some before I go home.
Yeah, the Oviraptor is one of those animals I haven't looked very much at. I don't know how many we'd want to have. Maybe 8 in that little area. Let's see. Let's have a look. Which one's what? Oh, the white and the black are quite distinctive. Ooh. That's quite a nice coloration. Oh no, I prefer that one. Okay, so Yukon River and Papurana. Hold on, Fletcher, how big are we talking about for this World Serpent Mosasaur? I don't know, because I didn't read enough of the I didn't get through enough of the article to figure out. Quite like the yellow. Let's see, yellow and... Okay, we'll go with Amazon Rainforest and Rana. If we're going to have 8, let's do 2 of each skin. So we need 4 skins. Let's go with... What other colours have we got here? The blue is very distinct. Quite like that. The mangrove forest and pelophylax. And let's do something that's a bit more deserty colour. So Death Valley and Pulkrana.
Yeah.
Excellent. I do think, since we have feathers, it would be interesting to see a terror bird of some description. Because I know a lot of people are clamoring for Ice Age or post-Mesozoic era animals. I think a terror bird would work quite nicely. Given they're a reasonable size, we already know feathers work. What species of terror bird would you pick? I would probably pick the typical standard one, Forest Racus. It comes from Argentina, so dig sites are probably already in the game. And it's the archetypal terror bird, really. Titanus or Kelken. See, I don't know much about terror birds, if I'm honest. I'm more of a Mesozoic era and pre-Mesozoic era sort of paleontology guy. I've never really been that interested in the stuff that came after. As cool as I think, mammoths and stuff are, and saber-toothed tigers, oh well, saber-toothed cats. I just generally I don't have that many post-Mesozoic period favorite animals. A guy in a chicken suit. Amazon rainforest and Rana. $24 that's it. What's 24 feet in English? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. What, 8 meters? Something along those lines? Yeah, between 7 and 8 meters, something along those lines. It does seem pretty small, as mosasaurs go, given Hainosaurus is bigger than that, and Mosasaurus itself. Thank you, Rob. See you next week, hopefully. Mangrove forest and pelophylax. You need help, Jacob. What do you need help with? Well, it should be noted that the Walking with Dinosaurs Liplorodon is based on fragmentary evidence. Mapusaurus or Abeli. Oh, replacements. That would be difficult. You could use Majungasaurus, perhaps. Death Valley Empolgrana. Oh yeah, Giga for the map view. That works. Yeah, I bet. Maybe Megalosaurus would probably be a bit not Abeliasaur enough. Majunga is probably the closest you'd get, I think. What do these guys even eat? They eat ground leaf or meat. Okay, well, we'll have you eat ground leaf. I'm sure these guys have given you ground leaf. Yeah, ground leaf. Plenty of ground leaf. Yeah, so this is your foraging site, Oviraptors. I think that works fine. Giraffatitan or Argentinosaurus. You can use, so for Giraffatitan, I would use the Jurassic Park 3 Brachiosaurus. And for Argentinosaurus, I would use Dreadnoughtus. The original Dreadnoughtus. Off to bed. Okay. Yeah, the Dominion Iguanodon works as Mantellosaurus. Right, we've done our Oviraptors are now in their exhibit. We do need to find a way of getting people away from this area down this way. So I think for this big block here, which I put as a question mark, because I'm not entirely sure what to do, I think we are going to have like another guest area. Same for over here with this bit. I think some guest area would work. Just to get our guests to move around the park. I'm still so bitter. Out of all ceratopsians, we still don't have Protoceratops. I do think Protoceratops is a weird outlier because it is one of those very famous dinosaurs that we don't have. Definitely need some smaller ceratopsians. I think there are a lot of slightly smaller species of animals that we should have. The bigger problem I have is that we don't have any way of displaying these smaller animals. Someone asked me earlier on, sort of what would I have as a DLC? I would have a DLC that focuses on making small animals more useful for the parks. So I would have, bring in short varieties of fencing with that particular DLC. Bring in more useful, placeable attractions. So binoculars, for example, or sort of education boards that work as viewing area, for example. Yeah, that's because I was talking about a species pack then, Barger. I'm talking about a DLC here. Like a proper big expansion DLC, not a just species. But and then also as part of that expansion, bring in some more smaller animals that we are missing, like Protoceratops, for example. Because the game as it stands now is kind of aimed at big animals. We don't really have a good way of displaying smaller creatures. So it would be good if we could have something to assist with that. I would love to have Mosasaurus. It's a tiny sauropod. It's adorable. Hello? Ah.
Just making sure it turns off.
Right, we've got about 20 minutes to go. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll... Maybe think about what goes down here, actually. So I've just remembered we also haven't had a proper carnivore yet. So I'm thinking we'll make this area a carnivore exhibit, or at least part of it a carnivore exhibit. And part of it will have guest structure. Thinking if we do where is my painting stuff? So this bit here is guest, and then we'll have the carnivore enclosure will be this bit. Yeah. Maybe have this a little bit longer so we could have something guest aimed in there instead. And then have that as the carnivore. It's a bit small for a carnivore though. Let's do what I was going to do originally. This is all going to be carnivore. And then we will have this block as guest. And we'll have like a small guest area prior to the walkthrough enclosure. I think that will work. So let's put that in. How come Mutter is a small dino? So my list is not small dinosaurs. It's what the game has that are the smallest representatives. So things like Amargasaurus and Chasmosaurus and Muttaburrasaurus, they are very small varieties of the main dinosaur groups, the ceratopsians, the sauropods, the iguanodontids. So they are technically small if you compare them to other members of the species. Because if you just go based off what is classified as a small dinosaur in this game, you don't actually have a very big range. What's wrong? You're right there. You've got food. Silly animal. Yeah, I put another insect feeder here in order to, because sort of the Yeholopterus weren't using the second one in their paddocks, and they were sort of edging further and further down this way. So I put one over here just to convince them to stay a little closer to where I wanted them to be. Although they're certainly enjoying the hotel area. How come in this game Pachyrhinosaurus is a small dinosaur, even though in real life it's the same size as Albertosaurus? They do. The Aeholopterus adore the rocks. They sit on the rocks more than they sit on the perches. Like they are all over here. Like they just sit on all of these rocks all of the time. Dump. You little gremlins. Right. What have I done for this guest area here? So we've gone with the Jurassic Park path. So do the same here. This is going to be the entrance to the walkthrough enclosure, so we're going to have like a couple of gates and some fencing and some other stuff there. So that's acceptable. Okay, I'm going to give a bit of an area out the front. And then we're going to have, I think we're going to go with small amenities here, just because there isn't that much space. We have a small food one. We'll put that side. No, we'll put the food one facing the carnivore enclosure here. Yeah. So one that way around. We're going to have one facing the front. This one, I kind of want to join to this one. So let's see. We have that there, and then this one is going to go sort of there. Yep. And then we're going to put a third, which would be shopping. Have a gift shop on this side. What do we want there to be? Okay, that's good. Then we're going to have a little bit of a back scene area. And then I kind of want there to be something at the back. I'll leave a bit of a gap so we have something to put trees against. Maybe just have this as like a... I feel that is a little bit severe. Maybe just have like a seating area at the back or something. Doesn't have to be too elaborate. Dilo for Dracovanator. Ugh. I know this probably marks me out as a traitor to Jurassic Park, but I absolutely hate Jurassic Park Stylosaurus. I have never liked it. Go with that one. Just to cover up that fence a bit. Heresy! I'm sorry, I just have never liked it. Realism isn't a necessity for this game. But... when it comes to the Dilophosaurus, it is too... It's just over the top when it comes to its inaccuracies. And I just can't get along with it. He's a history teacher. He knows a man would never be burned on a stake, no matter the magical powers. Perhaps. No, I quite like the thatch for that one on the side. Just use the thatch. And we'll have... again, we'll stick to the trees. Because we're going to place down our own seating area, chairs and such anyway, so that's fine. Oops. Delightful. Good. Your hate has made you powerful. Right, and tables and chairs. So couple there. Couple there. Yeah, I think that looks good. And then we'll have the fence along this line. The gating will be sort of here. So we'll have like... which one? Classic gate. So we'll have like a gate there. And then we'll have another gate. Let's go, what, 1, 2. Yeah, about 2 beyond. And then that way we can have like the mock sort of airlock arrangement. Oh, they're just a little bit off center. That's going to annoy me. A little bit. There, that's better. And we have like the mock, the airlock sort of chamber that you'd need to have if you're going to have like a walkthrough exhibit. I mean, I'm also going to change the color of the path so that the walkthrough exhibit has something a little bit more showy off, I suppose. Maybe... yeah. And then that will be the beginning of the walkthrough enclosure, and then we'll have fencing along the outside. And fencing up to there. Obviously, we'll hide the edge of the fence at either end with plenty of foliage and stuff just to bed it in. But that's basically the start of the walkthrough enclosure. Thinking maybe we should have like a guard tower or something just to keep an eye out on what's going on inside as well. Fletcher, I finally found a use for Tylo. Use it as that mosasaur named after the world serpent. Ah, but the Tylo is ugly. Fletcher, you got any good dinosaurs as a stand-in for creatures not in the game? Let me show you guys what this looks like in the dark, just so you can have a look and see what it looks like. And then we'll go and since the stream is coming to an end, we'll have a look at the species viewer, and we'll see what we can come up with. So yeah, this is the color I've gone for the amenities in the dark. They've got this violet purple coloration to the lighting, which I think really works. And we've got plenty of other colors of light. I think I might change, give the garden some lighting. We've got nice green lights down here. We've got some murky blue just to try to make it look like these are, TV screens. Got a nice little T-Rex area there in the back. But yeah, I think this is looking really good so far. So I'm going to save here. And what we'll now do, we'll go and have a look at the species viewer and see if there's any in there that I can suggest for folks. Let's have a look. So obviously Alamosaurus could be an Argentinosaurus. You could also kind of use it as a... it's a bit big to be a Giraffatitan stand-in, actually. Let's... Ugh, Atrociraptor. Australovenator. I mean, Australovenator could stand in for a lot of small-ish theropods. Brachiosaurus, I've already mentioned using the JP3 skin to be Giraffatitan. Carcharodontosaurus could stand in for a few things. It is tricky, actually, because of the animals that we have, a lot of them don't really stand in for other species very well. You could use Crichtonsaurus to stand in for things like Sashaya or other small ankylosaurids like Pinacosaurus. Simply because it is the smallest ankylosaurid we've got that has a tail club, so it works for all those small tail clubbed ankylosaurs like Sashinar and Pinacosaurus and stuff like that. Let's have a look. I mean, Dryosaurus, you could also use that for Hypsilophodon if you wanted to. You could also use it as a stand-in for Ophnelia if you're doing something specific that you need Ophnelia for. Let's see, Euoplocephalus. I hate Euoplocephalus. Giganotosaurus, obviously you can use the original Giganoto for Mapusaurus. Herrerasaurus. I don't think there's anything you could use Herrera for. Maybe Gasosaurus? Actually, I think Gasosaurus is a bit bigger. Iguanodon, obviously using the Dominion Iguanodon for Mantellisaurus works quite well. Kentro, so the 2015 Kentro works quite well as a Dacentrurus which is the only stegosaurid that comes from Britain, actually. We're not 100% sure on what it looks like, but it is basically estimated to be the size of Stegosaurus, but to have more of a Kentrosaurus-like plate and spike arrangement. So Decentrurus could be easily Kentrosaurus 2015. Myosaura, Majunga. Obviously, we spoke about using Majunga to be any sort of Abeliosaurid that you might want to have, because it's probably the only sort of generic looking one, because obviously Carnotaurus looks too much like Carnotaurus to get away with it. Mamenchi, you could probably use Mamenchisaurus to be any sort of tall sauropod you might want. Titanosaurus, for example. You could use Niger. We'll talk about Niger in a minute. Megalosaurus. Megalosaurus you could easily use for Gasosaurus or Piatsnix. Is it Piatsnikisaurus? There's something with a really complicated long name beginning with PZ. Sinaxki or something like that. Megalosaurus would work quite well for that, or Gasosaurus. Metriacanthosaurus you could obviously also use for various Allosaurid species or Abeliosaurid species. Minmai works quite well as juvenile ankylosaurs if you want juveniles. Monolopho is a bit too distinct with that nose crest. Ugh, Mosasaurus. I mean, honestly, just look at the boring nature of its skin, really. Nigersaurus, I mean, you could use it to be Volcanodon if you really wanted to. Nodosaurus would work quite well as Boreal Pelter, or actually probably Polacanthus works as a better Boreal Pelter or Antarctopelter. If you want any of those Antarctopelter, Boreal Pelters, probably Polacanthus is the best best animal to use for that. Rano, Notho, Oloro, they're all pretty distinct, as is Parasaurolophus. You could use the, because of the difference in how they look, the 2022 Parasaurolophus could work as Chironosaurus, simply because they do look different in the head. So you could use them for those three, you can use the Chironosaurus. Proceratosaurus, I almost think you could probably get away with having as juvenile Monolophos. Kinjao, again, you could also use this to be like Gasosaurus or the other one beginning with PZ that I can't pronounce. Sauropelter, again, you could use that for Boreal Pelter or Antarctopelter. Sinosauropteryx. If you don't have the need to eat on for the carnivores, you could use Sinosauropteryx as Hypsilophodon and just give it a really like herbivore style enclosure. Stego, there's nothing really you can make Stego work as. Suchomimus, Tapejara, Toro, Trixtrodon. Tropiognathus is basically Ornithochirus, so you could use Tropiognathus for Ornithochirus. If you're doing like a Walking with Dinosaurs park, there's your Ornithochirus. That's literally the Ornithochirus skin right there. T-Rex, you could use one of the other skins. or like the furry T-Rex to be Tarbosaurus or something like that, if you're absolutely desperately in need of a Tarbosaurus. Tyrannus, again, you could use for Gasosaurus, Sianaki, any small feathered sauropod, theropod that you might want to have. No. I hope we get Camp Cretaceous Tarbo soon. I know it's the one that everyone wants, but I really hope they don't give us any more Camp Cretaceous stuff. Or if it is, don't give us any Camp Cretaceous stuff as part of a big DLC. Like, just give it for us for free. Something for Mutter. Well, Muttaburrasaurus is basically your standard rabidontid small iguanodontid, so you could use it for juvenile iguanodons. You could use it to be, you know, smaller species of iguanodontids or rabidontids if you're desperately in need of one. But I think it would work best as juvenile or semi-adult iguanodons. What could Myosaurus stand in for? I don't really know. You could use it to stand in for Hadrosaurus if you and we're doing an the Lost World novel park. You could use it to stand in for Hadrosaurus. That's probably the only one I could think of. You could use also, so Edmontosaurus you could use as a Anatotitan, because Anatotitan used to be a species, then it was discovered it was a species of Edmontosaur, and then they discovered a new species which was then given the name of Anatotitan. So Anatotitan, again, if you're doing a Walking with Dinosaurs park, Anatotitan is back to being a species of animal, so you could use Edmontosaurus for that. And yeah, Oviraptor for any Oviraptosaurus, so Oviraptor or Conchororaptor. People are popping into the stream, and we're at the very end of it. Hello, Movie Sonic, De Floof, and Aiden has popped in. Yeah, we are at the end of the stream. We've been going for 2 hours now, so unfortunately you have missed it. But do go and give the stream a watch back if you want to watch any park building and such. Could also be a Dwarf Shatunga. That's for certain. I'll just quickly show folks, since a couple of folks have popped in and weren't clear what we've done. I'll quickly load back into the park so people can just see what we were doing. There you go. Next Sunday probably won't be a Jurassic World Evolution 2 stream. I might play War Thunder live on stream, or I might just play something very different. Maybe Baldur's Gate if people would be up for it. But yeah, for Aiden and movie Sonic the Floof. So today we were doing we were landscaping this garden area. We completed our Oviraptor exhibit area. And we also did our Huangosaurus exhibit. Where are our Huangos? There they are. So that was really looking at what we actually got done, which was the garden, this Oviraptor exhibit, this Huango exhibit. That's basically it in 2 hours. That did take a long time. I do like how this looks, actually. I'm really happy with how this garden area turned out. Needs a few lights. Needs a few light poles in. But yeah, it really turned out quite nicely. I'm quite happy with that. Yes, you did, Jacob. But yeah, so next week there'll be a Jurassic World Evolution 2 video looking at some ideas for alternate decorations that Frontier could make that would be very easy to make. There should be a War Thunder video on Friday. If I can manage it, I might bug Dane to do a Paleo Pines stream on Wednesday or Saturday, since he can stream again now that his computer is fixed. So I might bug him to do a Paleo Pine stream. And on Sunday, the normal stream will be something not Jurassic World, either War Thunder or Call of Duty Zombies or Baldur's Gate, something different. So yeah, that's all to come next week, and then the week after next week will be the 2000 subscriber stream specials. So next week there's going to be an ongoing thing in the community tab for people to give me ideas for what they would like to see as a 2000 subscriber special stuff. And yeah, and the week after next will be that. So I hope folks come and join me for that. But for now, I want to say thank you to everyone for joining me on this fireworks night. And wherever you are, stay safe and goodbye.